Hey there, future UN superstar. Thinking about a career with the United Nations. Making a real difference on that global stage. Well, we're diving deep today into careers in the United Nations, a comprehensive guide
It's a bit
to help you figure out if this path is for you.
comprehensive guide.
And trust me,
Yeah,
it's way more than just diplomats in suits.
that is.
Think working on the ground, in a refugee camp, or maybe you're analyzing global health data.
Yeah,
The possibilities are huge.
huge. Yeah, it's fascinating how many people I talk to, they think the UN is just about preventing another world war.
Mhm.
I mean, which was kind of the initial goal back in 1945.
Right?
But the UN has evolved to tackle, I think, the most pressing challenges facing humanity today,
Mm-hmm.
from climate change
Oh, wow.
and poverty to pandemics. And these complex issues, I think, require a whole new kind of diplomacy.
Okay, that totally reframes things. So it's not just about peace talks anymore.
Right.
But the UN is a massive organization. Where do all these different initiatives even happen?
Right. That's where understanding the UN structure, I think, is really important. You've got your principal organs, the General Assembly, where every member country gets a say.
Yeah.
Then there's a Security Council
Yeah.
with a bit more power, when it comes to keeping the peace.
So those dramatic speeches and those intense negotiations we see on the news,
Yeah,
that's all happening in the Security Council.
exactly. But beyond those principal organs, the UN has all these specialized agencies,
Okay.
each like a mini UN with a laser focus on one area. Think of it as a global toolbox, each agency tackling a specific piece of the puzzle.
Okay, so I'm picturing a giant toolbox now.
Yes.
Filled with all sorts of interesting tools.
Yeah,
Give me some examples. I bet some will be familiar even to folks who aren't, UN experts.
absolutely. Take UNICEF. They're all about protecting and supporting children worldwide.
Okay.
So if you're passionate about giving every child a fair chance, UNICEF could be your dream destination.
Yeah.
Imagine working on programs to provide education, healthcare, and safe spaces for children in need.
Wow, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, what else is in this UN toolbox?
Then there's the WHO, the World Health Organization, on the front lines of global health.
Right.
Especially relevant, with everything that's happened with the pandemic, right?
Yes, for sure.
If you're interested in public health, imagine working on vaccine distribution strategies or researching emerging diseases at the WHO.
Definitely top of mind these days.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here. There are actual jobs
Yes.
related to these big picture UN goals.
You got it. And we can't forget UNDP, the United Nations Development Program, working tirelessly to fight poverty and promote sustainable development. Imagine designing programs to empower communities to create economic opportunities and to build a more equitable future.
Okay, these are all definitely agencies I've heard of before, but there's one more you have to tell us about,
Yes.
especially in today's world. UNHCR,
UNHCR.
the UN Refugee Agency.
You're absolutely right to highlight them. With so many people displaced by conflict and crisis, UNHCR's work is more vital than ever. Imagine being on the ground, providing life-saving aid to refugees, ensuring they have access to shelter, food, and medical care. It's challenging, but incredibly rewarding work.
Yeah, that's the kind of work that really resonates with me, to be honest. The thought of making a tangible difference in someone's life during a crisis, it's powerful. So we've got this incredible array of agencies all doing amazing work.
Yeah.
But what would someone like me actually do at the UN?
Right.
What kind of jobs are we talking about?
Well, that's where things get really interesting because the UN offers a surprisingly diverse range of career paths. Think of it like a pyramid with different levels of responsibility and expertise.
Okay, I'm visualizing this UN career pyramid.
Yeah.
What's at the top?
At the top, you have the professional and director levels, often called the P&D levels.
Sure.
These are the folks who are leading teams, shaping policy, and making high-level decisions.
Okay.
They're the masterminds behind those complex UN strategies you hear about on the news.
So if you're the type who loves the big picture,
Yeah.
thrives on strategy,
Yes.
wants to lead global initiatives,
Wow.
that's the level to aim for.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But like any well-oiled machine, you also need the engine room.
right.
That's where the general service staff comes in.
Okay.
These are the dedicated individuals who keep the UN running smoothly behind the scenes.
Okay.
Think administration, finance, IT, logistics, all those essential functions that keep the wheels turning.
So it sounds like the kind of work that doesn't always get the spotlight,
Right.
but is absolutely essential
Essentially, yeah,
to the UN's success. So unsung heroes for sure.
definitely.
But what about those of us who crave a little more action?
Yeah. For those folks, there's field service.
Yeah.
These are the boots-on-the-ground roles working in all sorts of environments, from delivering humanitarian aid in disaster zones to monitoring elections in fragile states.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And our source mentions some other interesting entry points. You've got consultants and temporary assignments, perfect for folks with specialized skills who want to dip their toes in the UN waters. And then there's the Holy Grail for many aspiring UN professionals,
Yeah.
internships, and the Junior Professional Officer or JPO program.
Right. Internships are a fantastic way to get a foot in the door, experience the UN culture firsthand, and maybe even land a permanent position down the road.
Wow.
The JPO program is highly competitive, but it's designed to launch the careers of young professionals who are passionate about the UN's mission.
So you're saying there's a way in for people at all stages of their careers.
Yes.
Recent grads, seasoned professionals, even folks who just want to try it out.
Exactly. And the diversity of roles is mind-blowing. Our source lists job titles like political affairs officer, humanitarian affairs, specialist communications officer, even data analyst. It really shows how the UN needs people with all sorts of skills and backgrounds.
This is what I love about these deep dives. You
Yeah.
come in thinking, the UN, yeah, I kind of get it.
Right.
And then bam, it's this whole universe of possibilities. But okay, let's get real. How does someone actually get hired at the UN?
Yeah.
Is it all about who you know, or is there a system?
It's actually very structured, and it's
Yeah.
all about what you can do, not just who you know.
Good.
The UN uses a competency-based recruitment system.
Okay.
They want to see evidence of your skills, your experience, and how you align with the UN's core values. Think less about the degrees on your wall and more about the impact you've made in the real world.
So no backdoor deals or secret handshakes?
Yep, everything goes through the UN Careers Portal.
Okay.
That's your one-stop shop for finding and applying for UN jobs.
Got it.
But be warned, the hiring process is a marathon, not a sprint. You'll typically start with an online application, followed by written tests and assessments. And if you make it that far, you'll face the infamous competency-based interviews.
Okay. Sounds intense. But tell me more about this Young Professionals program, because that seems like the golden ticket for many aspiring UNers.
It is. The YPP is specifically designed for talented young professionals, usually under 32, with the potential to become future leaders within the UN. But getting in is incredibly competitive. You'll need to pass a series of rigorous exams and interviews demonstrating not just your knowledge, but also your genuine commitment to the UN's values.
So it's not just about being brilliant.
Right.
You also need that passion and dedication.
Yes,
It makes sense. They're looking for people who truly believe in the UN's mission.
absolutely. And here's a pro tip.
Yeah.
Networking is key in the UN world.
Okay.
Attending events, connecting with UN professionals online,
Yeah.
and even reaching out for informational interviews can give you invaluable insights and open doors.
I'm hearing a common thread here.
Yeah.
Being proactive and really doing your research is crucial.
You got it. And remember, you're not just applying for a job. You're expressing your desire to be part of something much bigger than yourself.
Well said. Okay, let's be honest. Saving the world is great and all, but we also need to know about the perks. I mean, it doesn't hurt to know what else is on offer besides the satisfaction of making a difference, right?
You're right. Altruism isn't everything.
Uh-huh.
And the UN offers some pretty attractive benefits.
Okay.
For starters, salaries are tax-free, which is always a nice bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, depending on your location and the type of work, you might be eligible for hardship allowances and other benefits.
Tax-free, you say?
Yes.
Okay. Starting to see the appeal here. But there's
Sure.
got to be more to it than just the base salary, right?
Absolutely. The UN offers a comprehensive benefits package
Okay.
that includes health insurance, pension plan education grants
Mm-hmm.
for those with families, and generous vacation
Mm-hmm.
and leave policies. They really try to take care of their staff and promote a healthy work-life balance.
Wow, that sounds amazing. That kind of stability and support is a big deal, especially for folks who are passionate about their work, but also want to have a life outside of it.
Exactly. And let's not forget the intangible benefits. Working for the UN gives you a chance to be part of something truly meaningful, to contribute to global solutions, and to collaborate with incredibly talented and dedicated people from all over the world.
That's something you definitely can't put a price tag on. But let's be real, no job is perfect.
Right.
What are some of the challenges of working at the UN? Is it really all glamorous meetings and globetrotting adventures?
Well, it's definitely not all sunshine and roses.
Wait.
Competition for UN jobs is fierce. You're going up against a global pool of highly qualified candidates,
Right.
so be prepared to stand out from the crowd.
Okay.
And frequent relocations are common, especially for those in field service.
Yeah, that nomadic lifestyle can be exciting.
Yeah.
But I imagine it could also be tough,
Yeah.
especially if you have a family or are trying to build a stable life in one place.
Exactly. And let's not sugarcoat it. Some UN roles, particularly those dealing with conflict zones or humanitarian crises, can be incredibly stressful and emotionally challenging. You need to be resilient and prepared to handle tough situations.
So it's not just about having the right skills and experience.
Right.
You also need a certain level of mental and emotional fortitude to thrive in that kind of environment.
You got it.
Yeah.
But for the right person, it can be an incredibly rewarding and fulfilling career path.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. The UN's mission structure,
Yeah.
different types of roles,
Yeah.
the hiring process, and even the perks and challenges.
Yes.
But before we wrap up part one, let's hear from the people who've actually been there, done that.
Yes.
Our source includes some fascinating interviews with current and former UN employees.
It does.
Let's tap into that insider perspective.
That's a great idea. One interview features a young professional who recently joined the UN through the YPP.
Yeah.
Their enthusiasm is contagious.
Oh, wow.
They describe the thrill of being part of something bigger than themselves, the challenges of adapting to a new environment and culture, and the incredible learning opportunities they've had in such a short time.
Okay.
It's inspiring for anyone just starting their UN journey.
Love that fresh, energetic perspective.
Yeah.
Did you get a sense from the source about what a typical day for them might look like?
Well, one example they gave was having to research and write a briefing paper for a high-level meeting on climate change.
Oh, wow.
They were up all night, fueled by coffee, and the pressure of knowing their work would be used to inform important decisions. They said it was stressful, but also exhilarating to be at the heart of such a critical issue.
Wow, that's a great example of how even entry-level roles at the UN can have real impact. But what about those who've been in the trenches a bit longer?
Well, there's a powerful interview with a field officer who has worked in some of the most challenging conflict zones around the world.
Okay.
They describe the emotional toll of witnessing human suffering, the complexities of negotiating with armed groups, and the pressure of making life-or-death decisions on a daily basis.
That's heavy stuff.
It is.
It sounds incredibly intense, both rewarding and incredibly challenging at the same time.
Yeah.
Did they share any specific examples?
One story that really stuck with me was their experience setting up a temporary refugee camp in the middle of a war zone.
Oh, wow.
They had to negotiate with local leaders,
Right.
coordinate with other aid agencies, and somehow create a safe haven for thousands of displaced families, all while bullets were flying around them.
Wow.
It's a testament to their courage, resilience, and dedication to the UN's mission.
Wow, that's a powerful image. It really puts things into perspective. So we've got the fresh perspective of a new recruit and the on-the-ground reality of a seasoned field officer.
Right.
What other insights did the source provide?
Well, to round out the perspectives, there's also an interview with a senior UN official, someone who has risen through the ranks and gained a deep understanding of the inner workings of the organization.
Okay.
They offer valuable insights into leadership diplomacy and the art of navigating the often complex world of international relations. They even shared a funny anecdote about a time they accidentally offended a foreign diplomat because they didn't understand a cultural custom.
Oh, I love those kinds of stories. They remind us that even at the highest levels, the UN is still made up of humans who make mistakes and learn along the way.
Exactly. And what's interesting is how each interview, despite the different roles and experiences, emphasizes the same core values: a commitment to service, a belief in the power of collaboration, and an unwavering dedication to making the world a better place.
Those values seem to be the common thread that ties everything together.
Absolutely. And it's something to keep in mind as we move into part 2 of our deep dive. We'll be exploring how you can prepare for a UN career and sharing even more inspiring stories from the field. So stay tuned.
Welcome back, Deep Divers. I don't know about you, but after hearing those firsthand accounts in part 1, I'm feeling even more fired up about exploring UN careers. But I'm also realizing it takes more than just passion
Right.
to land one of these incredible jobs.
You're absolutely right. It's easy to get swept up in the ideals and the mission, but turning those aspirations into a concrete career path, it takes planning, preparation, and a whole lot of dedication. Luckily, our source doesn't just paint a picture of the possibilities. It offers some real-world advice on how to get started. Consider this your UN career training montage.
I love it. Okay, I'm ready for my training montage. What are the absolute must-haves
Yeah.
for anyone serious about joining the UN? What do we need to focus on?
Well, first and foremost, you need relevant experience.
Okay.
The UN wants to see that you've actually rolled up your sleeves and gotten involved, not just talked about wanting to make a difference.
Yeah.
Think internships, volunteering, even working for NGOs or community organizations. Anything that demonstrates your commitment to the UN's values and gives you practical skills in areas like international development, human rights, or humanitarian aid.
So it's not enough to just talk the talk, you have to walk the walk,
Yes.
even before you set foot in UN headquarters.
Right.
Can you give us some concrete examples
Of course.
of the kind of experience that would really impress the UN?
Absolutely. Volunteering with a local refugee resettlement agency would show your commitment to helping vulnerable populations. Or imagine interning at a human rights NGO, documenting abuses and advocating for policy changes.
Yeah.
Even something like organizing a fundraising campaign for a global health initiative demonstrates initiative and a passion for making a difference.
Okay, I'm starting to see how those experiences would not only build relevant skills,
Yeah.
but also demonstrate that you're serious about a UN career.
Absolutely.
What else should we be focusing on?
Language skills are huge EE at the UN.
Okay.
English is essential since it's the main working language, but fluency in French, Spanish, Arabic, or Chinese can be a major asset, especially if you're interested in working in specific regions or departments.
That makes sense. The UN is all about global cooperation. So
Yeah.
the more languages you speak, the better you'll be able to navigate that diverse environment. That's like having superpowers in the UN world.
Exactly. And speaking of superpowers, another essential ingredient is a global mindset. The UN deals with issues that transcend borders and cultures, so you need to be able to think beyond your own backyard. Stay informed about global events, understand different perspectives, and cultivate a genuine curiosity about the world around you.
So no more burying your head in the sand. The UN needs globally aware citizens
Yeah.
who are ready to tackle complex issues from multiple angles.
Right.
Any advice on how to develop that kind of global mindset?
Read books and articles from diverse sources, follow international news outlets, engage in respectful discussions with people from different backgrounds. Even traveling or studying abroad can broaden your horizons. It's all about exposing yourself to different cultures, ideas, and perspectives.
So it's not just about knowing facts and figures. It's
Okay.
about developing empathy, understanding, and the ability to see the world through different lenses.
You got it. And here's a pro tip for staying ahead of the game. Follow UN news, read their reports, and most importantly, keep a close eye on the job openings on their careers portal. Knowing what's out there and understanding the specific requirements for different roles can give you a huge advantage.
It's like anything else, preparation is key. The more informed you are,
Yes.
the better positioned you'll be to seize those opportunities.
Absolutely.
Okay, we've talked about relevant experience, language skills, and a global mindset.
Yeah.
What about those of us who might not fit the traditional UN mold?
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone is a diplomat or humanitarian aid worker.
That's a great question. And it brings us back to the incredible diversity of roles within the UN. They need people with all sorts of skills and backgrounds to keep things running smoothly.
So even if you're not a smooth-talking negotiator
Right.
or a crisis response expert, there's still a place for you at the UN.
Absolutely. Think about it. The UN has massive operations in areas like finance administration, IT communications, even security. They need accountants, project managers, graphic designers, translators, you name it. The UN is like a giant complex ecosystem, and every role plays a part in its success.
So if you're a whiz with spreadsheets, a coding guru, or a master of social media,
Yeah.
those skills are just as valuable to the UN as traditional diplomacy skills.
Exactly. It's all about finding the intersection between your passions and the UN's needs. And don't be afraid to think outside the box. Maybe you're a data scientist who can help analyze global health trends, or an architect who can design sustainable housing solutions for refugees. The possibilities are truly endless.
This is what I love about the UN. It's a melting pot of talent, a place where people from all walks of life can come together and contribute their unique skills to a common goal. But, okay, let's get real for a moment. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are wondering about the day-to-day reality of working at the UN. Is it all high-level meetings and globe-trotting adventures, or is there a lot of, paperwork and bureaucracy?
That's a fair question. And the answer, like most things UN-related, is it depends. It depends on your role, your department, your location, and a whole host of other factors.
So there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Not really, but we can paint a bit of a picture based on the insights from our source.
Okay.
One thing that comes up consistently is the importance of collaboration. The UN is all about working together, whether it's across different departments, with member states, or with partners on the ground. So be prepared to be a team player, to communicate effectively, and to navigate different perspectives and priorities.
So it's not a place for lone wolves
Yeah.
or people who hate meetings.
probably not the best fit.
Hmm.
Another thing to keep in mind is the hierarchical structure of the UN. While there's definitely a focus on teamwork, there's also a clear chain of command, and decisions often need to go through multiple levels of approval.
So patience and diplomacy are key,
Yeah.
especially if you're working on time-sensitive projects. Did our source provide any specific examples of what this collaborative hierarchical structure looks like in action?
One former UN field officer told us that a typical day could involve anything from negotiating with local leaders to distributing food aid to writing reports back to headquarters. They emphasize the importance of building trust with local communities, coordinating with other UN agencies, and constantly communicating with their supervisors to ensure everyone was on the same page.
Wow, that sounds like a whirlwind. Definitely not your typical 9 to 5 job.
Right. And let's be honest, there's always going to be some level of bureaucracy in any large organization. The UN is no exception. But the good news is there's a growing movement within the UN to streamline processes and empower staff to take more initiative.
So it's not all about red tape and endless paperwork.
Definitely not. The UN is constantly evolving, and there's a real push to become more agile, more responsive, and more results-oriented. And that's exciting because it means there's even more opportunity for individuals to make a real impact.
So it's not just about following the rules.
Right.
It's about finding creative solutions, pushing boundaries, and driving positive change from within.
Exactly.
Our source hinted at the UN embracing technology in new ways.
They did.
Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. The UN is embracing technology like never before. Data analysts are now crucial for tracking disease outbreaks, monitoring elections, and evaluating the impact of development projects. They're using satellite imagery to assess the damage after natural disasters and social media to communicate with communities in crisis zones.
Wow, that's incredible. It sounds like there are opportunities for people with tech skills to make a real difference at the UN.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the hard skills. The UN also needs people who are adaptable, innovative, and able to think critically about how to use technology to solve global challenges.
This has been incredibly insightful. We've gone from understanding the UN's diverse structure
Yeah.
and the importance of relevant experience and language skills to getting a glimpse into the day-to-day reality of working in this complex environment.
We have. We've also explored how the UN is evolving and embracing new ways of working, including the growing role of technology.
Exactly. I think we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive, but I know what you're all thinking. Show me the money. So in part 3, we'll delve into the nitty-gritty of UN salaries and benefits, explore different career paths, and leave you with some final thoughts on whether a UN career is the right fit for you. Stay tuned. All right, deep divers, we're back for the final leg of our UN career exploration. We've talked about the mission, the structure, the skills you'll need, what daily life is like.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
It has, but, let's be honest.
Sure.
One of the first things people wonder about with any job is the compensation package.
Right.
Saving the world is noble and all,
Yeah.
but we've got to pay those bills, right?
Absolutely.
So let's get down to brass tacks. What's the deal with UN salaries? Are we talking ramen noodle budget, or can you actually live comfortably working for the UN?
Well, the good news is UN salaries are generally considered competitive. And there's some pretty sweet perks that come with the package. As we mentioned before, salaries for UN staff are tax-free, which is a huge plus. And depending on your location and the nature of your work, you might be eligible for hardship allowances, post adjustments, and other benefits that can really boost your take-home pay.
Tax-free, you say?
Yes.
Okay, starting to see the appeal here. But I'm guessing there's more to it than just the base salary.
Oh, absolutely. The UN offers a comprehensive benefits package that includes things like health insurance, a pension plan, education grants for those with families, and generous vacation and leave policies. They really try to take care of their staff and promote a healthy work-life balance.
Okay, now we're talking. That kind of stability and support is a big deal, especially for folks who are passionate about their work but also want to have a life outside of the UN. But can we get a bit more specific? What kind of salary could someone realistically expect at different levels of the organization?
Sure. Our source gives some examples. A P3 officer in Geneva, for instance, can earn a tax-free salary of around $70,000 per year, plus benefits like health insurance and education grants for their children. And as you move up the ranks, the salaries increase accordingly. A P5 level position at headquarters could earn well over $100,000 tax-free.
Wow, that's not bad at all, especially considering the other perks and the fact that you're, contributing to something truly meaningful.
Yeah.
So we've got decent pay, awesome benefits,
Yeah.
and the chance to make a real difference. What's not to love?
Right. But of course, it's not all about the money. The real reward is the impact you're making and the satisfaction of knowing You're working towards a better future for all.
Well said. But let's talk about career paths for a moment. Once you're in, what are the possibilities for growth and advancement? Is it like climbing a ladder, or is it more like navigating a jungle gym?
It's definitely more of a jungle gym with different paths and possibilities opening up depending on your interests and experience. But there are some general trends we can highlight. One common path is moving up through the professional or P levels, gaining experience and responsibility as you progress.
So starting as a P2
Yeah,
and aiming for that coveted P5 level.
exactly. But it's not always a linear progression. Some people prefer to specialize in a particular area, like peacekeeping or humanitarian aid, becoming experts in their field. Others might choose a more generalist path, working across different departments and gaining a broader understanding of the UN system.
So there's room for both specialists and generalists. That's great news for folks who are still exploring their interests and haven't quite figured out their niche.
Absolutely. And remember, the UN is a global organization, so there are opportunities to work in different countries and regions.
Mm.
You might start your career at UN headquarters in New York, then move to a regional office in Africa or Asia, or even take on a field assignment in a conflict zone.
That's where it gets really exciting. Imagine working on the front lines of a peacekeeping mission or helping to coordinate humanitarian aid in a disaster zone. Talk about a career with impact. But I know that kind of high pressure, high stakes environment isn't for everyone. What about those of us who prefer a slightly more stable and predictable work life?
Well, there are plenty of roles within the UN that offer a more structured and routine work experience, especially at headquarters or in regional offices. Think about positions in administration, finance, human resources, or communications. These are essential functions that keep the UN running smoothly, and they often offer a more traditional 9 to 5 type of schedule.
So there's truly something for everyone.
I think so.
From the adrenaline junkies to the spreadsheet wizards, our source included some inspiring examples of diverse career paths.
You did.
Can you share a couple that really stood out to you?
One interviewee shared how they started as a junior program officer in the peacekeeping department and rose through the ranks to become a senior advisor on conflict resolution, working directly with ambassadors and heads of state. They said the highlight of their career was helping to negotiate a peace treaty that ended a decades-long civil war.
Wow, that's incredible. What an amazing accomplishment. It sounds like they really found their calling within the UN. Did any other stories resonate with you?
Another interview that stuck with me was a communications officer who worked for UNHCR. They talked about the power of storytelling to raise awareness about the plight of refugees and inspire people to take action. They said one of their proudest moments was creating a social media campaign that went viral and helped to secure funding for a critical refugee resettlement program.
It's amazing how even behind the scenes roles like communications can have such a profound impact on people's lives. These stories really highlight how diverse and impactful UN careers can be.
They do. And it's not just about the big wins. It's also about the small, everyday contributions that make a difference. Whether you're drafting a policy document, analyzing data, or simply answering the phone, you're playing a role in supporting the UN's mission.
That's a great point. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of, saving the world,
Right.
but even the smallest actions can contribute to positive change.
Exactly. And that brings us back to our final thought for this deep dive. Working for the UN isn't just a career choice, it's a way of life. It's about aligning your passions with a purpose, dedicating your skills to something that truly matters, and being part of a global community that's striving to make the world a better place.
Beautifully said. If you've made it this far in our deep dives, chances are that spark of UN ambition is burning bright. So what are you waiting for? Go visit the UN Careers website, start networking, polish up your CV, and see if this path calls to YU.
And remember, even if a UN career isn't in the cards right now, there are countless ways to get involved in global issues, to support organizations working on the front lines, and to make a difference in your own community. The world needs passionate, engaged citizens, and that's something we can all aspire to.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's a wrap on our UN Deep Dive, folks. We hope you found it informative, inspiring, and maybe even a little life-changing. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep chasing those dreams.